Scott just made the point.
Jefferson used to be a lot more secure, not just.
Are American businesses so mean to women that they make them go back to work within hours of giving birth? And if so, can a comedian get Congress to fix that? I'm PJTV's Scott Ott, joined now by Stephen Green and Bill Whittle for the first trimester of our three-part trifecta that I'm calling Land of the Mother Haters. Well, men, comedian John Oliver devoted 12 minutes and 20 seconds of his HBO show Last Week Tonight to slamming anyone who opposes mandatory paid leave after childbirth. He mocked politicians who make gushing Mother's Day videos, but who voted against forcing employers to pay women for postpartum leave. Take a look.
And you can't have it both ways. You can't go on and on about how much you love mothers and then fail to support legislation that makes life easier for them. In fact, until we...
Now, the crowd, as you could hear, loved it, and they were shocked to learn that the United States is one of only 2 nations that do not mandate paid parental leave, the other being Papua New Guinea. In the course of the rant, Oliver used data from a Department of Labor survey, which showed that it's good for business, and it creates virtually no negative effects among companies that offer the benefit. But you may wonder, if it helps with employee retention and morale and causes few problems, why do American businesses refuse to offer paid parental leave? Are they mean and stupid? Well, Bill Whittle, 183 other countries mandate paid maternity leave, sometimes for months or a year or more. Why does American business lead the world in hating mom?
You know, there's another statistic where America sits on one side of the fence and the entire rest of the world sits on the other side of the fence, and that is the entire rest of the world has never been to the moon. That's one thing you could look at. You know, and you may think that's being flipped, but I swear to you, I maintain that these are related things. In virtually every other country in the world, you know, we talk about, well, you know, the socialist countries versus the free countries. There really are no free countries, really, honestly. We're really about it. It used to be anyway. But really what it comes down to, Scotty, is that the attitude of most people in these countries around the world is that a job is someplace people go to get a check. A business is there to take care of its employees. That's the purpose of a business. A business is there to write checks for the employees. And if they produce a product, I suppose that's okay. As long as it doesn't require too much work or effort on anybody's part, I suppose we can let that go. This really is the general idea. You know, first of all, let me just say to this guy telling me how I can love my mom here in America, go back to Russia or wherever you're from, you miserable low-life foreigner. The second thing I'll say to this guy is it's not about caring about mothers. It's about state coercive control, right? It's about state coercive control. That's what the big applause is for making people pay. Now, I don't know what percentage of jobs pay maternity leave. I bet it's a significant number. But there's also a significant number of companies that can't afford to do that. And if you start saying that they have to be doing that by law, then they're going to find out what the pizza guy who was told in Oregon or Washington or wherever it was, he's told he's going to be, by law, minimum wage is going to be $15 an hour. And he's all excited. And he came into work to get his brand new paycheck and found out he'd been fired. You know why? Because they can't afford to pay that. That's why. And that's what's going to happen. Mothers are going to be more unemployed. They're going to be preferentially less hired. These are inescapable conclusions.
Well, come on, Stephen Green. Isn't John Oliver right? I mean, can you really say that you love mom and then force her back to work, or worse, onto food stamps before the stitches even come out?
Oh. You know what? If your argument is predicated on, then you don't love your mother, then your side of the argument is so specious, is so stupid, is so lame, is so baseless that you have lost right from the get-go. Right from the get-go, you have surrendered the argument of saying, well, you don't love your mother. No, I'm sorry, you lose.
For the children.
Yeah, as for the children, you're racist, you're worse than Hitler. No, all of that renders your point completely moot. Let me tell you a story. You know, my wife works for a major defense contractor, and I think it's 6 weeks of paid maternity leave, whatever it is. But they have paid maternity leave, and she told them, with both of our kids, that she was going to take at least 2 years off from work. 2 years off to be at home with the kids before we started them in preschool. So they still paid her paid maternity leave. After about a year of being out of work completely, she started getting phone calls from her old boss every few weeks. So, Melissa, when are you coming back to work? We really need you here. And when she finally said yes, and this happened twice, this happened with both of our sons, after she finally said yes or agreed to come in to talk, it was with a hefty raise. And the reason is, my wife is damn good at her job. She makes herself valuable to the company, and companies will bend over backwards to keep and retain valuable employees. So if you want these benefits, you know what? Do what my wife does. Work your ass off and be good at your job.
Well, you know, I actually pulled up a copy of the Labor Department report which John Oliver used to imply that business owners are both mean and stupid. I found, much to my surprise, that about 60% of employees do receive full pay for leaves of 10 days or less, and 40% get full pay for more than 10 days. In addition, another 17% get partial pay. Now, some employers use a combination of sick days, personal days, and vacation days as maternity leave, but more than a third, about 37%, do it some other way. And by the way, businesses offer this pay even though the Federal Family and Medical Leave Act does not require them to do it.
Imagine.
The survey indicates that if, for example, you have a company and you have 100 employees, fewer than 3 of them each year will take maternity leave, and only 42% of those will be out for 10 days or less. Only 5% of employees report an unmet need for leave for any reason, not just maternity. And only half of them indicate that financial reasons prevented them from taking leave. 5% have an unmet need. In our next trimester, we will look at democratic compassion for women who give birth. And in our members-only climax, we'll ask whether left-wing comedy shows should have to register as political action committees, and whether right-wing PACs and think tanks should make comedy shows instead. For Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, and the entire Trifecta crew at PJTV.com, I'm Scott Ott.
Go back to Russia.